Welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a like. Enjoy the video. On the bustling platform of Grand Central Station, a black woman was stopped by two officers who claimed she looked suspicious. What followed was far from a routine check. Little did the officers know that their assumptions were about to crumble along with their sense of authority. When her bag revealed a CIA badge and a loaded Glock, the tables turned in an instant. But the events that led to this moment will leave you speechless. Let's start from the beginning. It was a typical evening rush at Grand Central Station. The concourse buzzed with life as waves of commuters surged through its massive expanse. The arched ceiling above stood as a silent witness to the chaotic symphony of hurried footsteps, crackling announcements, and a hum of trains arriving and departing. The air was thick with the mingling scents of steel, asphalt, coffee, and the faint trace of exhaust from the trains below. Among the sea of hurried travelers, Tara Jones stood out, though she wasn't trying to. Her presence was commanding yet understated. At 35, Tara carried herself with quiet confidence that turned heads. Her sharp black skirt and fitted blazer hinted at her professionalism, while her leather bag slung neatly over her shoulder added an edge of sophistication. Each click of her heeled boots echoed against the polished floor in perfect rhythm, as if announcing her arrival. Her natural curls framed her face, softened by a hint of makeup but sharpened by her alert and observant eyes. Tara wasn't just walking through the crowd, she was scanning it, her gaze as sharp as a hawk's. However, not everyone saw her grace and professionalism too. Two uniformed officers broke away from the stream of commuters, their eyes locking onto her. Officer Riley, tall and broad-shouldered, carried himself with an air of arrogance, his badge practically screaming authority. His partner, Officer Grant, was younger and less certain. He seemed to follow Riley's lead, though his hesitation was apparent in the way he fidgeted with his duty belt. "Ma'am," Riley called out, stepping directly into Tara's path with a smug grin. His tone carried a false politeness, the kind that didn't hide his condescension. Tara paused, her brows lifting slightly. Her expression was calm but guarded. "Is there a problem, officer?" she asked, her voice ready and professional. "Routine check," Riley replied, his smirk widening. "You fit the description of someone we're looking for. Mind showing some ID?" Tara's gaze sharpened, her composure unshaken. "Description of what exactly?" she asked, her tone measured but firm. Riley leaned in slightly, his arrogance on full display. "We figure that out. Step aside," he said, motioning her toward the wall. Tara took a deep breath, her jaw tightening. Without breaking eye contact, she reached into her bag and pulled out her ID. Her movements were slow and deliberate, as if weighing each action for its potential consequences. She handed the card to Riley, who snatched it without so much as a thank you. "Federal employee, huh?" Riley muttered, tilting the ID under the light. Suspicion laced his voice as he narrowed his eyes. "Mind explaining what you're doing here?" Tara folded her arms, her posture unwavering. "I'm on official business," she replied. "Is that a crime?" Grant shuffled nervously behind Riley, glancing between his partner and Tara. "Maybe we should call this in," he suggested hesitantly. "Relax," Riley snapped, waving off his partner. His focus remained fixed on Tara. Then, with a mocking smile, he leaned closer. "What's in the bag? Got anything you want to tell us about before we take a look?" Tara exhaled quietly through her nose, her irritation barely visible. Her voice remained calm but carried a warning. "You don't want to do that," she said evenly. Riley's smirk widened, mistaking her composure for fear. "Oh, really?" he taunted. Without waiting for her permission, he grabbed her bag and unzipped it. The moment his hand reached inside, his confidence shattered. His fingers hovered over a badge gleaming under the station's lights. CIA Agent Tara Jones. Next to it rested a Glock, its matte black surface a stark reminder of who they were dealing with. Riley's face drained of color, his jaw tightened as he read the badge, and his once cocky demeanor evaporated. Behind him, Grant took a step back, his face pale with shock. "Riley," Grant stammered, his voice shaking. Tara calmly reached forward and retrieved her bag, her movements slow and deliberate. She held Riley's gaze, her eyes cold and unrelenting. "Now," she said, her voice cutting through the tense silence, "would you like to explain why you just harassed a federal agent?" Riley stammered, his words stumbling over one another. We thought you might be a threat," he muttered, avoiding her gaze. Tara raised an eyebrow, her tone icy. "A threat?" she echoed. "You thought a woman in a skirt and heels was a threat? Or did you think you could get away with this because you assumed I wouldn't fight back?" By now, the commotion had drawn the attention of nearby commuters. A crowd began to form, their phones raised to capture the scene. Riley glanced nervously at the growing audience, his arrogance replaced by visible panic. Tara didn't hesitate. She pulled out her phone, hit record, and held it up. "State your names and badge numbers," she demanded, her voice loud and clear. Grant, sensing the gravity of the situation, quickly complied. "Officer Grant, badge number 47,800, he said, his voice subdued. Tara turned her camera to Riley, who hesitated before mumbling his name and badge number. "You like touching women's belongings during your routine checks, Officer Riley?" Tara asked, sarcastically, her words sharp enough to cut. "Let's see how well that excuse plays out when your superiors see this." The next morning, the video went viral. Headlines blared across news outlets, exposing the incident as a glaring example of racial profiling and abuse of power. The NYPD announced an immediate investigation into the officer's conduct, but Tara wasn't done. Using her CIA connections, she arranged a meeting with the precinct captain. Armed with evidence, she presented not only her case, but also data on other misconduct cases her agency had uncovered. "This isn't just about me," Tara said firmly. "This is about holding people accountable." Officer Riley was swiftly suspended, and an internal investigation began. Grant, though reprimanded, reached out to Tara privately to apologize. "I should have spoken up," he admitted, his voice filled with regret. Tara listened but remained firm. "This isn't about apologies," she told him. "It's about ensuring this doesn't happen again." In the end, Tara returned to the station, this time boarding her train without interference. As she settled into her seat, a text from her CIA supervisor appeared on her phone. "Well done, mission accomplished." Tara smiled, knowing she had turned a moment of injustice into a catalyst for change. Here on Karma's Twists, we share the most impactful stories of karma and justice that the world needs to see. Don't miss a single moment of good triumphing over evil. Join our community and subscribe. Be part of the movement that believes justice always wins.